Now, this topic isn't trending at all, so I would absolutely understand if you guys didn't care about this sort of video. But this is pretty much just me thinking because I'm a little tired of this sort of thing, because, oh, goodness gracious. There's always like this need for equal representation in media, like, oh, male characters need to be treated the same as female characters are, or blah, 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 blah. Female characters need to be treated with equal respect as male characters. And it's a little absurd, right? Because without getting political, men and women are different by virtue of being men and women. Women typically are more emotionally vulnerable, more emotionally in tune, more sensitive. Men are typically easier at hiding their emotions, better at hiding their emotions and coming across as, emotionally walled off or whatever the case may be. There's physical differences, there's emotional differences, there's mental differences. All that is very important to consider when developing a character, because if Captain Marvel was written the same way that Tony Stark was, she wouldn't be interesting. I mean, she's not interesting now, but, she would just come across as like a fake version of Iron Man. It's like, oh, you're basically Tony Stark, but with a uterus, Probably shouldn't have put it that way, but the thing that is really frustrating is the Bechdel test. The Bechdel test, as defined here, is a way of evaluating whether or not a film or other work of fiction portrays women in a way that is sexist or characterized by gender stereotyping. To pass the Bechdel test, a work must feature at least two women. These women must talk to each other, and their conversation must concern something other than a man. Now, that's great and all. I understand that you want to be treated properly and with respect and everything. But, real quick, let's ask this question, right? Women out there in the audience, when you're talking to other women, do you talk about men from time to time? Does it just so happen that you have a crush on a guy, or you're dating a guy, or you're getting married to a guy and you're talking to your friend, your sister, your mother, your daughter, whatever about it? Is that not a thing that can happen? And even the other way around, right? Because nobody ever wants to look at the other way around. How many movies about women are men in where they're stupid, or they're just hunks of meat that are there to be attractive, or guys talking about girls? It's the same thing, but only, of course, only when it supports the argument that women are being oppressed and treated unfairly, right? Now, I won't say that there's not movies that treat women in a negative way, but I just want to look up movies that passed the Bechdel test, right? Wow. Okay, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, American Pie 2, The Stepford Wives, The Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Remember the Titans, Goodfellas, Frozen. See, now that's not fair, because Frozen does have a scene where Elsa and Anna are talking about how Anna wants to get married to Hans, and it's early in the movie. But because they talk again later on or whatever, or before then, and it's not about men, it suddenly passes the test. So you can have a scene where women talk about men, but you have to have another scene where they don't. Right? Okay, so, no, this is just 11 classic movies. Bring It On, Princess Diaries, Clueless, 10 Things I Hate About You, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Titanic, Frozen, Pitch Perfect, Secret of the Traveling Pants, The Devil Wears Prada. Now, are you sensing a bit of a trend among some of those movies? Princess Diaries, Mean Girls, Clueless, Frozen, Sister of the Traveling Pants, Devil Wears Prada. Those movies are about women, right? Not every movie is about women. Movies can have female protagonists, and The other characters just happen to be men, but by virtue of there not being another woman in the movie for that character to talk to, it just doesn't work. Like Alien doesn't pass for the dumbest reason. Star Wars Episode 4 doesn't pass because Leia is the only woman in the movie, really, even though there's other women there eventually, they don't directly interact. Episode 5 doesn't pass. Episode 6 doesn't pass. Even though it's a great movie and it's got a great story, it tells a fantastic story, it's directed very well, the art direction, the music, everything's great about this movie, but because two women don't speak to each other about taxes, it fails this made-up, superficial test created by people that were butthurt because they watched a movie and they didn't like the way that the woman was portrayed in the movie. Now, is the way that women have been treated historically unfair? Sure. I mean, women used to only be, like, the klutz or whatever in these movies. But that did eventually change, in the 1960s. But Episode 7 doesn't pass. And there are two women in that movie, General Leia and Rey. And they talk, but they talk about Luke. And because of that, they're not talking about him in a romantic way. They don't want to sleep with him. They don't want to marry him. They don't want to do any of that. They want to go save him. But because it's about a man, it doesn't pass the test. So are you seeing how the test is unreasonable or whatever? Are you getting there now? Are you seeing that this doesn't make any sense? Because technically, I don't even think that Wonder Woman should pass the test because, yeah, Diana and her mom talk about things, but they talk about Zeus and other male gods. And eventually, she talks about wanting to go help the world of the men, wanting to save Steve Trevor, who is a man. So even this movie, that's a tentpole figure for women, doesn't pass their own test because of how specific and also at the same time vague it is. You understanding why this doesn't work? Chicago, I've never seen that movie. Children of Men, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, Ghost World, Hidden Figures, Bridesmaids, Hunger Games. Bridesmaids passes the Bechdel test. That's fantastic. But does it really portray women in the best light? Are some of these women anything more than the butt of the joke at any given moment? I don't think they are. Hunger Games, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, ladies and gentlemen, passes the Bechdel test. Ain't that fantastic? Does it pass any other test, like the test of being a good movie? No. But don't you worry, because two women talk in it. So are you seeing how it's a little silly that these sorts of things exist? Because by virtue of passing this silly little test, you can lump a movie like The Godfather and Goodfellas in with Ghostbusters and Bridesmaids because they pass this superficial made-up criteria that's made to not even appeal to anybody because no woman that I actually know cares about this test. Oh, but online, this movie doesn't pass the Bechdel test, take it away and burn it. Star Wars The Last Jedi passes the Bechdel test. Now, I know that Leia talks to, Actually, who does Leia talk to? Hold on, because Leia talks to Rey about Luke and his death. Leia talks to Holdo about liking Poe because he's a good guy or whatever. Let's see. Star Wars isn't exactly known for being female positive. Leia's gold bikini. She was a slave. Oh my god. But TFA went a long way to making the franchise Bechdel friendly by putting a woman Rey at the center of it. This is something its sequel, The Last Jedi, pushes even further by including even more strong female role models from Rose Tico to Vice Admiral Amilyn Holdo, and not forgetting Leia. It's true that most of them are spread out over the galaxy for the majority of the film and don't talk to each other, but they all have important roles with a lot of responsibility, and if you're a stickler for the rules, Leia and Holdo do talk to each other about the war. But are there more conversations about the war than there are about men? I don't think so. So where does it go from not passing to passing? Where's the threshold? This test makes no sense. I think that's all I really need to present. But yeah, this is the dumbest thing in the world. It's just another reason for people to complain about, ooh, equality, or ooh, these characters aren't being treated properly. Ooh, 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 ooh. Like, the thing that you're calling a problem isn't a problem at all. But if you want it to be, it can be. It's very easy to make something way bigger than it ever needs to be. But, God forbid, a man come and try to talk about this sort of topic. I don't understand. I'm sexist. I'm just a misogynist pig. I'm a fascist. Whatever. The Bechdel test is stupid, right? And I propose we come up with a male equivalent. How about you have the Toto test, toxic touch Toto, and in it, 2 dogs must be present, and they must meet at some point in the movie, and they must bark about something other than bones, mailmen, or fire hydrants. We good? All right. I want to see this on Twitter somewhere. Somebody tweet about the Toto test, right? Because we need to make this thing official. All right. If the Bechdel test gets to be legit, so does this, because animals aren't treated well in movies. Because there was a movie called Cujo where there's a dog and he's got rabies and he's trying to kill a kid. Equality, right? Why can't the dogs be equal to the women? I'm calm. I promise you I'm calm. I am okay. And I will see you soon enough.